Hi, I wanted to talk about Attawapaskat. Attawapaskat is a First Nations reserve in northern Ontario, and it's been in the news, in the Canadian news, a lot in the last week, 10 days, um, regarding the, once again, deplorable living conditions of the small community there, or community, doesn't matter if it's small or not. And this has come up every so often, sadly. In the news, you will see a story about a Aboriginal or First Nations reserve um, in some northern community or in Manitoba, and they will talk about the horrific, inhumane conditions in which these people are living, and they're not getting sufficient government funding, to say the least. And there is no water, say no running water, or a poor supply or a supply that is contaminated of water. The housing is, I can't really even describe it. You should go on YouTube and check it out. I'll spell it, Attawapaskat, in the information comments below. But I guess mine looks pretty bad. But my ceiling doesn't have mold in it, and it's being renovated. But yeah, holes in the ceiling, so cold air blowing in. Maybe they could lift up the floorboards. But mold, a lot of very dangerous mold. Little shacks that look, well, gosh, a couple of them look just a little bigger than an outhouse, to tell you the truth. So little children who don't have adequate water, clothing, they're cold, horrible. So, once again, Canadians are up in arms and saying, "How can this happen? We're always being told, send what you can over for relief to a third world nation, and these people are living in third world conditions and worse." So, last night I was watching the National again, and there seems to be some vicious cycles going on in these communities. And I don't have that much to say, except for what keeps, I was feeling very frustrated about. I'm no politician, and I'm no genius, but I am a living, breathing person. And with common sense, I can see a few things. Um, there seems to be some discussion about third-party management going in and taking care of the finances in these places, and that's very, I guess, kind of blatantly insulting to the people that are there, and they reject it, and I don't blame them, actually. I don't think that's the issue and the problem. To me, it's like, it's staring you in the face. Build these people decent housing, okay, for one thing. For God's sake, build them houses, not a trailer, not something that's temporary. Build them houses, good new structures, good bungalows, 2 stories, a community. Build the fucking community for these people. Okay, so then what happens is with each argument you kind of go back. So then the argument, a couple things that I'd heard. The education minister got up last night in House of Commons in Ottawa and said, well, no, you see, that doesn't work. We tried that. It doesn't work. They don't keep it up. Okay, one, they don't have ownership. I'd revisit that. There's some kind of Indian Act they live under. I'm sorry, I don't know a lot about it. A little bit about it. They don't own the structures they live in or the land. And I think that there is agreement within the communities about this. I have a concern with that, and that is it doesn't seem to be working. So for everyone, I would say if it's not working, perhaps a change is in order. It's already been proven psychologically, whatever. If someone owns something, they tend to take care of it better. Okay, very, very simple point. Pride in ownership. So do I think that's the long-term best solution? No, I don't. But I think it's something that should be done now. Right now, they need housing. The education minister said, I believe it, George Abbott, could have been John Baird. I'm sorry, I'm not positive. Anyway, one of the ministers in the House of Commons last night in Ottawa said, no, we should not put money into housing. Education. It has been proven that we should put money into educating the young. Again, not to state the obvious, but both are required now. So if you already have some of those programs in place, great. Put more money in that. Absolutely. In education. However, first, they need houses. And it's not just one community. There's several communities. There is a community in Manitoba, I believe it was. And the gentleman, I believe he was, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, I'm not sure. Anyway, he was one of the leaders of the community. And he worked towards building this community in the last 10, 20 years, and he did so successfully. And it was in a similar state as many of these communities that are in this horrible emergency situation are. And he did it step by step. It took several years. Now, there was a condition where they're located was in a certain area that he was able to do this. Okay, it had some resources close to another large city, so there were some circumstances. So I guess if I keep taking it back, I'm refusing to say it's impossible, because that's where your mind takes you when you listen to all this stuff. So, the reason to not build houses was the education. No, we have to put the money in education. I say do both. Okay, we can't build houses because the water supply isn't adequate. There's trouble with the water supply. There's several concerns. Fix the water supply. If there is not a way to bring in abundant, safe water to these locations, you can't really have a community. If some grown people want to go live there, not have kids, okay, I guess they can. You can't really have a community if it's so impossible to fix the water supply. Then I would say relocate then. So just using some common sense here. If it is decided they're not going to relocate, fix the water supply and build the houses. We don't have the money for that. Tax the rich. Another story last night on the National talked about the growing disparity between rich and poor, and in Canada it was one of the largest growth in disparity between the rich and poor. So tax the rich, tax them a lot. What do they need multi-millions of dollars sitting in their bank account for? I'll tell you what they need it for. To make more money, so it can sit in their accounts. Because they already have enough money to have everything they want, and their children, and their children, and their children, and their children, and go anywhere they want, 10 million times over. And then they have millions and millions and millions more sitting in accounts. Why don't we just say it? It's disgusting. So tax the rich. That's where you can get the money. Tax the fucking rich. The crime. I can't say they're all criminals, but lots of them are. Can I prove that? No. But it seems that even when you can prove it, you can't prosecute a lot of these people. Which was a story on 60 Minutes the other night. Yesterday as well, 2 days ago. About Citigroup. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say about Attawapaskat.